The red warning lights on the control panel flashed like intermittent wounds in the pitch-black cockpit. Outside, the storm over the Bering Sea howled, an invisible monster trying to crush the small aircraft. Rowan Calloway held the yoke with a firm grip, her knuckles white, her breath a controlled whisper in the midst of chaos. She felt every jolt, every groan of the metal as if it were her own body protesting. A voice crackled in her headset. It wasn't air traffic control. It was a voice she hadn't heard in 10 years, but one her instincts had never forgotten. Cold, arrogant, laced with a false courtesy. "It's a beautiful sight, isn't it, Rook? The end of the world. Your end. There's no way out. You're too old for these games." Rowan closed her eyes for a single, long second. The smell of ozone and overheating circuits filled her nostrils. Old? Perhaps. But Sterling Creed had always had one fatal flaw: he mistook age for weakness. And he was about to pay the price for that mistake. But before we find out how Rowan found herself dueling with death 10,000 kilometers from home, take a moment to tell us what part of the world you're listening from. It's incredible to see just how vast our community is. And if you feel like it, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. For you, it's a simple click; for us, it means we can keep telling stories like this. Thank you. We truly appreciate it. And now, let's return to the storm. It all began 10 days earlier, with the hum of an engine that didn't belong. The Oak Haven Watch, a decommissioned lighthouse on the wildest coast of Oregon, was Rowan's sanctuary. A place where time was measured by the tides and secrets could remain buried under layers of fog and silence. To the few local fishermen, she was just the keeper, a reclusive woman in her 40s whose hands could fix a diesel generator with the same patience she used to read the star charts. But in the giant boathouse carved into the base of the cliff, there were no rusty winches. Beneath a tangle of old fishing nets and waxed tarps rested her real secret. An Aura C-14, an experimental aircraft that had officially never existed. She called it Nyx. A craft capable of taking off in less than 100 meters and vanishing from radar like a whisper. Rowan hadn't flown it in a decade. It was her past, put to sleep. That day, however, the past landed on the water. A matte black seaplane, silent and lethal. A man stepped out, Sterling Creed. He wore no uniform, but a tailored suit that was worth more than any fisherman's boat. His eyes were devoid of warmth. "Captain Calloway," he said, without preamble. "Codename, Rook. Project Shadow. Need I continue?" Rowan didn't answer. She just stared at him, her face an impenetrable mask. "We have a problem," Creed continued. "A submarine surveillance drone. A $2 billion jewel. It's malfunctioned and is adrift in the Bering Sea. Our technician is stranded on a disabled civilian fishing trawler, with a Category 4 storm rolling in. We need an extraction that leaves no trace. We need the best pilot we have. We need you." Rowan was about to refuse. That world was no longer hers. But Creed played his masterstroke. "The technician's name is Cole Barrett." The name hit her like a slab of ice. Cole. The son of her old mentor, the man who had taught her to fly. The boy she had sworn to look after at his father's grave. A promise. The only one she had left. As the Nyx came to life with a deep rumble that shook the cliff, Rowan felt 10 years of peace dissolving like fog in the sun. She was resurrecting a ghost, her own. Rook. The strategist. The fighter. The woman who knew that no mission was ever as simple as it seemed. In the air, her instincts, never truly dormant, began to prickle. Creed's communications were too clean. The coordinates provided were too precise for such a remote and chaotic area. The recovery plan had the sterile perfection of a simulation. Not a real operation. A silent alarm, louder than any siren, went off inside her. The mission was a facade. And the promise guiding her was the very lock on her own trap. She used a secondary, encrypted communication channel, one only she and Cole knew. A single word. "Check." Cole's reply came after 3 interminable minutes. "Mate." Cole had never been in danger. He was the bait. The entire operation was a meticulously orchestrated trap with a single objective, her. Through the secure channel, Cole's information flowed like a river in flood. Sterling Creed, the quartermaster of Project Shadow, their former head of logistics, was the traitor. For years, he had been carrying out Operation Sunset, a silent, systematic purge of all the surviving members of their unit to sell Project Shadow's secrets to a private military corporation. Their comrades hadn't died in accidents. They had been eliminated. The revelation was a blow to the heart more violent than any turbulence. The man hunting her had been one of them. He had been a friend. He had looked her in the eyes, using her loyalty, her one sacred promise, as a weapon against her. The shock wasn't anger, it was a profound chill, the realization of being hunted by her own pack. The humiliation wasn't public, it was intimate, a poison flowing through her veins. The lighthouse wasn't a sanctuary. It was just a larger cage. In that moment, Rowan Calloway died for the second time. And Rook took definitive control. She was no longer the prey. She was the Rook. The piece that moves in straight lines and sweeps away everything in its path. "Cole," she said into the secure channel, her voice now devoid of all emotion. "Start the download. I'll give him something to chase." What followed was not an escape, but a masterclass in flying. Rowan turned the Nyx into a ghost, using the storm not as an obstacle, but as an ally. While Creed's drones searched for her with thermal sensors, she did the unthinkable, she cut the engines to near idle, putting the aircraft into a controlled stall and letting it fall for hundreds of meters, until it skimmed the frozen surface of the ocean. To the sensors, her heat signature, now nearly identical to the water's, vanished completely. For an instant, the Nyx was just another wave in the sea. Creed saw her disappear, believed she had crashed. It was then that Rook reignited the engines, ascending with breathtaking violence right behind his formation. She was humiliating him on his own turf, forcing him to make mistakes, to expose himself. While Creed, blinded by arrogance, focused on the hunt, Cole Barrett was ransacking his servers on the other side of the world. Plans, records, bank transactions. Every piece of evidence of the betrayal, every name, every date. Then, the final move. Rook didn't broadcast the evidence to the world. That would have been vulgar. She did something more elegant. More lethal. She sent a single, heavily encrypted data packet to a single terminal at the Pentagon. The one belonging to Admiral Genevieve Sterling, Cole's aunt. A woman everyone considered a relic of the past, one step from retirement. The one person Creed, in his arrogance, had never considered a threat. And so, we find ourselves back in the cockpit, in the heart of the storm. Creed's voice crackles again, but now there's a note of panic in it. "What have you done?" Rowan smiled for the first time. A cold, sharp smile. "It's called checkmate, Sterling," she whispered. "It's over. But not for me." Sterling Creed's fall wasn't explosive. It was quiet, bureaucratic. An arrest, a trial behind closed doors, a disappearance into the oblivion of the very system he had tried to manipulate. The names of the fallen from Project Shadow were engraved on a private memorial, a silent tribute to heroes who had never sought glory. Rowan watched the ceremony from a distance, one shadow among many, before returning to her lighthouse. To her peace. But this story is more than just a tale of espionage and betrayal. It's a story about how we too often judge people by their age, their silence, their appearance. About how the arrogance of youth and technology can blind us to wisdom and experience. Because in the end, what truly defines a person's worth? Their title? Their youth? Or the integrity with which they keep a promise and the determination with which they protect those they love? Rowan Calloway didn't seek revenge. She sought justice. With calm, strategy, and courage, she proved that true strength doesn't make a sound. It acts. This story teaches us that you should never underestimate a quiet person. Still waters can run the deepest and be the most dangerous. And now, I want to hear your voice. Have you ever felt underestimated because of your age or your appearance? Have you ever witnessed someone quietly perform an act of great courage and integrity? Share your story in the comments. We read and appreciate every single one. If this story moved you and you believe its message is important, leave a like and share it with anyone who needs a reminder that value has no expiration date. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss other stories that leave their mark. Thank you for dedicating your time to us until the very end. Your support is the fuel that keeps us flying. And remember, Sometimes, the greatest legends are the ones never sung. See you soon.